The Construction Design and Management Regulations 2015 have some really major implications for companies involved in minor works that would never really consider themselves to be involved in construction. The regulations require that where you have more than one contractor undertaking work, you're required to appoint a principal contractor and a principal designer. However, the definition of construction work is very broad. Includes things like redecorating, recabling. So you can have the situation where a company involved in fairly minor works doesn't make these appointments, and the law actually imposes the obligations of being a principal contractor and principal designer on the client themselves. So in fact the client can be in difficulties without actually realising that they've appointed themselves as a principal contractor and principal designer. The implications could be quite significant for a smaller company, say involving a contractor to do some decorating in the atrium of an office. And let us assume that the contractor has a subcontractor, decorator, maybe a mobile access platform and whatever. And let's suppose that the contractor is not that well organised and ends up turning over the mobile elevated work platform and injuring, or still worse, killing the contractor. Now immediately the question is going to be asked of the client, who is the principal contractor and who is the principal designer? And if those appointments haven't been made, then the client becomes the principal contractor and principal designer and is then considerably responsible for what has happened. In fact, they will have automatically committed a number of breaches of regulations. So the effect is that the client can be very easily prosecuted for things that they didn't feel they had an enormous amount of control over. So it's really important for clients to recognise the implications of these regulations and recognise that their contractor is required to produce a construction phase plan, which is an explanation of how the work is going to be undertaken safely, and they're required to make these statutory appointments. But it's quite possible for a company to be fined for a breach of the regulations without anything actually having gone wrong. So there could be an inspection because there are poor standards involved, and then the health and safety executive could look at the situation and say, well, there is no construction phase plan here, therefore who is the principal contractor and they've committed an offence. The work is actually being done in a dangerous fashion. So before anything has actually gone wrong, there could be a prosecution for the fact that the situation is unsafe. In a very similar way to a motorist being prosecuted for bald tyres or defective brakes or dangerous driving without actually having an accident.